What a week it has been, and the fun is not over. Padres head north Friday to face the second place team in the National League West and the second best team in the Los Angeles metropolitan area. That is, of course, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Padres are in first place. He is Derek Togerson. I am Darnay Tripp. This is the On Fire podcast. How are you on this splendid Thursday afternoon, Derek?
I've got one number in mind, Darnay. That number is 41.
Hmm.
Do you know what the number 41 is?
Games remaining?
It is the Padres' magic number. The magic number to clinch the National League West is 41. We have not been able to have a Padres magic number this deep in the season since 2010. Yep. So, I don't know how long we're going to be able to say we have a magic number. So I'm going to go ahead and say it now. The Padres magic number on August, 14th, 2025 is Sterling Hitchcock and Robbie Erlin.
It's right there. Hey, they control their own destiny. Just win out and you're going to be totally fine. Man, this is what an incredible week. And shout out to the Halos up there. That was really, really fun to watch. I'm trying to think, there's been a lot of fun series in recent Padres history. But in terms of 3-day stretches that we've followed with this club, that has to be right up there because of what they did. And obviously some good old scoreboard watching that went in the Padres' favor.
Oh yeah. It was awesome because they're sitting there okay, the Padres, they could very well sweep the Giants, right? That's not out of their own possibility. It probably is maybe even a probability. I just wouldn't dream that the Dodgers would drop 3 straight to the Angels, but they looked at the numbers and how bad the Padres are against the Mariners. That's almost how bad the Dodgers are for some reason against the Angels. It's one of those weird matchup things. And it played out in the Padres' favor. It's been really cool to see that team up there that was thought by many, myself included, to be almost impenetrable, really legitimately struggling. It's almost weird, like we went through some rip in the multiverse and we're somewhere else right now.
I like this part of the multiverse, wherever we are.
Yeah, let's keep it here. It's Earth 818.
We'll discuss the last few days, look ahead obviously to this weekend. One bit of discouraging news just passed along by Dennison. We'll talk about that as well. Shout out to OG as a sponsor of the On Fire podcast. Appreciate all they do for On Fire and the NBC7 sports team. Series up at Dodger Stadium. If you're not making the trip, want to be amongst some other Padres fans, have a good bite to eat, maybe a tall one, go to OG's, a great spot. Check out one of their many locations around San Diego County. Great place to watch games, tons of TVs, awesome menu, always new menu items and specials, and a proud supporter of the On Fire podcast. So appreciate OG's and all they do for us. Without further ado, the welcome music. It is the On Fire podcast. He is Derek Togerson. I am Darnay Tripp. It is a Thursday afternoon, day off for the Padres ahead of their first of back-to-back weekends against the Dodgers. The first one at Dodger Stadium, then the return trip to Petco Park next weekend. And we did our episode last week. At some point, I was talking about, hey, just keep it close, be right there in striking distance going into this series, make it fun. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, there's obviously enough room for them to take over and for the Padres to be in first place when they get to Dodger Stadium. I didn't want to be greedy, Derek. I wanted to just kind of not that I was worried about jinxing it or anything like that. I was just like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. And the Padres got ahead of where I thought they would be at this point. Not just in striking distance, not just tied, but in first place in the NL West going up to Dodger Stadium. And what a potentially very, very fun few days awaits us now in LA, Derek.
It almost feels weird, like Voldemort, like we shouldn't say it. Is there a jinx somewhere? Is something funky going to happen? It's odd, but it's reality, and it's really, really cool to be living here. And now we get to go up there and prove it against the team that's been tormenting the Padres for God knows how long.
Oz, or is it Oz? I'm not sure. Chime in on the chat. Let's go Padres. We certainly want to hear from you. So if you are watching, get in on the chat. We always love to include your comments on the pod.
And that's a
And
cute cat.
that is a very cute cat. And is that a Padres? Looks like maybe a Padres handkerchief, if I'm seeing that correctly. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, that's definitely Padres handkerchief. Well done. Or I guess that's a kitty do-rag.
And the nice thing is, like, okay, just talking worst case scenario. Not that we're expecting this to happen, but say you get swept at Dodger Stadium, you're still only 2 games back, and so then you have another week. You're facing the Giants again, who are just in dismal form at the moment. What is it about year 2 under Bob Melvin? Things just tend to go sideways, and so even if things go terribly this weekend, you're going to be in a position again to strike next weekend. Back at Petco Park. And so what they did the last few days and the help that they got the last few days just put them in such great position. It's awesome.
It really is. We were talking about last week, what we say, okay, at the end of this 13 game stretch between the Giants and the Dodgers, where would they be? And we said if they could be like 500, maybe tied for first place, that'd be fantastic. And what do you know? They're already, after 4 of those games or 3 of those games, they've already become alone in first place. And I don't understand how the Dodgers have given up a 9-game lead in the span of 6 weeks. Like, for a team with that much talent, this goes beyond injury. Like it goes beyond, they've been hit by because Snell has come back. Glasnow has come back. Their starting rotation's actually getting healthier, and yet they continue to lose games. That part I really don't understand. And that makes me think maybe it's not just the injury bug. Maybe it is these guys are just, I don't know, feeling a World Series hangover. They're underachieving. Somebody got old overnight. There's something else at play here that I don't know what it is at the moment. But it really gives me hope that this is the year that the Dodgers simply don't have enough in the tank. They didn't do enough at the trade deadline to be able to make that stretch run and win the division again.
Apparently, Ozzy's cat has many Padres bandanas,
Nice.
by the way. Figured you'd want to know about that. Important to get that in. People are starting to circulate the excuse, whether it is merited or not, that just playing a lot of baseball, going deep into the season, an early start to this year, playing what in Japan, that the Dodgers are just fatigued. They're tired out. It's been a long last year, winning the World Series and all that, and maybe there's something to that. But you're starting to hear some of that chatter.
Oh yeah, of course the Dodgers fan base is going to start making all their excuses. Oh, we're not good this year because we've been so good for so long. Shut up.
And the media is going to start making those excuses for them. Our buddy Lauren chiming in. Derek, do you think the Padres can win the division? Now you did say a week or 2 ago that you believe it is in play.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously in play, but going back a couple weeks, you've said, okay, last year was one thing. This year, I'm a believer.
Yeah, like I said, last year and up until probably start of July this year, I was thinking that you can't beat the Dodgers in the division. They have too much talent. There's too much of a gap. They'll find a way down the stretch. They throw money at everything, and then the trade deadline happened, and they didn't do anything or anything with notes. And I'm like last year they go out and they add a guy like Tommy Edman, who was just like your jack of all trades, can do anything for you kind of guy. And this year, there's no move like that. So that's when I said, you know what? If you're going to get them, this is the year you can get them. And now I believe that even more than I did before.
Yeah, no question. 619 Cam, I'm excited about the weekend, but still tempering expectations at some point. And I hope it's not starting this weekend. The Dodgers will start to play better. Let's not do anything to wake them up.
And that, Cam, that right there, that is my worry, is this team is battle tested. They have so much postseason experience. Eventually, the switch is gonna flip, and you just don't know when it's gonna be. And you just hope that it is too late for them to do that, and you pray to God that it doesn't happen this weekend against the Padres. But that run is coming. It's almost like a really good NBA team. Like they're struggling in the game, but at some point that run is coming. So that run from the Dodgers is coming. It's just going to be when it happens and who it happens against and how do the Padres react to it. That's kind of the thing, like the dark cloud in the back of my head of, okay, we're all excited. This is all really cool, but That run is going to arrive at some point. How good will it be, and how long will it last?
Yeah. So many directions I want to go, but I did want to mention close to the top, the news that just broke, Dennis Lin reporting and our buddy Lauren chiming in as well. Michael King, 15-day IL, was supposed to start on Friday. Knee inflammation, so not related to the shoulder that kept him out for, what was it, about 3 months? Knee inflammation for Michael King, so he will not make a start Friday at Dodger Stadium. It will be Randy Vasquez instead, who threw on Sunday. So disappointing bit of news when there were some pretty sexy pitching matchups lined up for this weekend. Obviously, Michael King included. His second appearance since coming back, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And so again, disappointing news there. Randy Vasquez back up, and look, Randy's done a solid job. And so not what you wanted to hear on this Thursday, but nice thing about this team is they have the pitching depth. And so you're not looking at Randy Vasquez as your fourth starter and you're having to bring up, a Kyle Hart or a Matt Waldron or somebody like that. Get Vasquez back up here. Hopefully he's been rock solid and continue to give the team opportunities to win, continue to keep them in position to win games. But man, tough season for Michael King, and disappointed that he's going to be on the shelf again. And hopefully it's something that just needs a week or so of rest and can get back to it.
Yeah. What stinks is it's his left knee. That's his landing knee, right? Which means he probably, as a lot of these guys do, is they rush back just a little bit and then try to put a little bit too much torque on it. And I mean, the good news is, again, it's like it's inflammation. It's not going to be an issue. Hopefully there's not some little, minor tear in there anywhere. But that can, when you're throwing really competitive pitches, you're coming down hard on that front leg, right? That knee needs, as much as the arm needs time to get back into shape, your landing leg, your plant leg does also need time to get back into shape. And maybe that just didn't quite get enough reps of really high intensity, high impact offerings. So again, hopefully just a small setback and he's right back at it again. It just stinks because you're right, man. I mean, Friday was going to be Kershaw King. Saturday was going to be Cease and Snell. And then Sunday, Glasnow and Darvish. Like this is a playoff series look at the starting rotation, right? It's like that was going to be so awesome to see. And I guess good thing we have a guy like Randy Vasquez who's got a lot of big league starts to be able to come in from the minor leagues, and you don't have to rely on somebody that you really don't know much about coming back up to make one of these starts for you. So I guess that's the good thing here is you got a guy like that in reserve.
Yeah, and Randy has made 2 starts against the Dodgers this season, 3.72 ERA over 9 2/3 innings, 4 earned runs, gave up 3 homers, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Opponent's batting average only 176. So it feels like a pretty Randy Vasquez type of line, just kind of keeping his team in it. Not a ton of innings, but he's got experience against his team. He's had some success. He's done enough to keep them in it, and hopefully he can continue that trend.
This is King is retroactive, right, to the 11th.
That part I would need to double check.
Yes, retroactive to the 11th, which means 15 days puts him 26. He's going to miss both Dodgers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he will not pitch against the Dodgers this year unless it's in the playoffs.
Yeah, which is too bad.
Yeah, that stinks.
You had mentioned not waking up the Dodgers, and one of the things I was thinking about this today, and I think Jim Russell also tweeted something along these lines last night. Like, what is Dave Roberts going to do to try and stir things up? If it's accusing Manny Machado of throwing a baseball at him in the dugout, if it's running out and giving Mike Shildt a little bit of a shove or something. Like Dave has done some kind of shady stuff to try and get under the skin of the Padres and rile things up. And that's one of the things I'm curious about this series, when clearly his team needs a spark and they're reeling and they're struggling, and he's very aware of what the standings say. The game within the game. I'm curious if we see something, I shouldn't say out of the ordinary, but like that, along those lines, from Dave Roberts to try and get in the Padres' head, stir things up a little bit, get their eye off the ball, and fire his team up. I would not be surprised at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as call it shady. I mean, is it gamesmanship? Sure. But yeah. Uh, does he have anything left he can grab at? I think that's what I mean. If anything, it can't be external to do with the Padres. It would have to be something to challenge his own players in there to say, guys, nobody in this clubhouse has ever lost a division to the Padres. You want to start now? These guys have been nipping at your heels for God knows how long, and you're going to be the group that lets that happen. It's like Notre Dame lost their 60-game whatever it was winning streak against Navy. It's like you guys are not going to be the ones to lose to freaking Navy, right? But then eventually Navy got them. So you got to I guess challenge them in that way. It's like you're not going to be the ones who actually surrender this, are you? So I think you have to challenge their own manhood, because I doubt there's really anything you can do from the outside right now that would help.
Yeah, and I'm also curious, like when before that, I think it was the first series against the Dodgers, being in the clubhouse, it was a very surprisingly quiet clubhouse. I want to say it was after a road trip on like a Monday afternoon, and you expect it to be full, guys around talking about the series, and it was kind of a ghost town in the clubhouse, and you could tell Mike Shildt was like trying not to make too much of it. There's another series, we know they're a good team, yada yada. This was in June, much earlier in the season, still in the first half. Another thing I'm curious about is just like what you hear from the Padres on their side, because if it's anything like that, they're not going to try and play it up too much. They acknowledge it's a good team. It's going to be a fun series, but every series is important. Every game is important, especially in the position that they're in. They've seemed to do a good job of not trying to make it bigger than it needs to be, and I would kind of expect the same going into this weekend.
Yeah, Shilt's done a really good job of that, of saying, yeah, this is important. Of course it is important. It's a division game. They're all important. And we obviously know that they're a really good team, and playing well against really good teams is important, but not making it to the point where it's like, but that team's different. We have to be that team. That's when you start thinking things are bigger than they have to be, and that's when you start having real problems. So he's done a really good job of that even keel of, guess what? They're throughout a 162 game season. There are times where you're going to have to be maybe a little bit more switched on than you are maybe in a series in June against the Rays. This is one of those series, but it also isn't the end all be all. Like, this is the team that we have to catch. This is the one. It's a division game. It's a really good team. We have a lot of good battles with them. Let's go be our best.
Yeah. And I remember in like previous seasons where they would face the Dodgers, and it would seem like maybe even both teams, but certainly the Padres, it would almost be like a hangover. They'd go out and have like a tough series or a tough stretch of games, probably because they're putting too much on it. Now, this year, I was looking back after that first Dodgers series, they dropped 2 of 3 against Arizona, and they lose 3 of 4 in LA, but they come back, win a series against KC, win a series against the Nats. And so I think like putting less emphasis on that one thing, it's going to be big. It's going to be intense. The atmosphere is going to be incredible. But not necessarily feeling the need to add to that and to build it up anymore beyond that has served this team well. And Mike Shildt just kind of got that boring business-like approach, and that served them really well last year. And it seems to be doing that this year. And I think now being in this position, you would think that would keep them from being like, oh my gosh, we're in first place. Now the pressure's on us. They just kind of go out and play ball, and it's worked for them.
And it's like they keep on talking about it all the time. They expect to win. They expect to be in first place. They expect to compete for division championships. They expect it. So you can't continue to say you expect it, and then when you get into that situation, somehow wither or change the way that you do things. If they truly do believe what they are saying, then they go out this weekend and they say, you know what, this is who we are. We know we're a first place team. We know we're a World Series contender. This changes absolutely nothing. We're going to go out there and try and put a team down and then kick them in the ribs as long as we possibly can.
Back to 619 Cam. The 2 series of the Dodgers will probably determine the division because the Padres and Dodgers have the easiest schedules remaining. got to continue to beat the teams we should beat. So that's 9 games. You said 41. So that's, little 32 games remaining after these series. Lots of baseball.
And a series against the Orioles and against the Twins and against the White Sox and like 7 against the Rockies. You do have that trip to go up and try and split the Vetter Cup with the Mariners. And you do have Cincinnati and the Mets. So there are going to be some tough series. And of course, the Brewers are coming to town the last week of the year. But it's sprinkled in those are some series you absolutely need to win. And some teams maybe you even need to sweep. And if if you just continue, the Padres are like 2 or 3 games under 500 against teams with winning records. Same as the Dodgers, same as the Phillies, same as most other teams. You got your outliers like the Tigers and the Brewers who are just beating everyone that they can come up with these days. Most other teams are right around 500, even if they're division leaders against teams with winning records, and they're slaughtering everybody else. And that's what the Padres have been doing, and that's what the Padres need to continue to do. And if they do this, then they'll be in good shape.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, there's your prediction was that they're tied August 25th after the series. 2 teams are tied during that, month plus remaining. Either way, like this thing's going to be, unless for whatever reason, the next week and a half is a complete disaster for one team or the other. You're probably looking at 2-3 games separating the two, maybe 4 max, I would guess. But then again, here we are. I was thinking, hey, keep it within a game or 2, and now the Padres are in first place going to this series. So anything is possible. But all that to say, like a team's going to have a leg up. That's likely. But it's not going to be over. There's going to be a lot of work to be done. And the Padres have also, they're like 14-3 in their last 17. They've been winning at a pretty incredible clip. Like, are they going to go 14-3 again and again and again the rest of the way? That would be impressive. And they did something like that last year. Maybe we're in that run again. That's what they do. But that's asking a lot. And it's going to be a ride beyond the next week and a half as well.
Yes, and that's the thing. It's a very good point, Darnay, to not lose sight of is, these 6 games against the Dodgers are going to be incredibly fun and incredibly important because, that is head to head where it's like, it doesn't count one game in the standings, or sorry, a half game in the standings. Every game counts a full game in the standings. So those little 1.5 or 0.5 versus 1, that's the difference. Is you get a whole game, not just a half a game. And you can, by the end of this weekend, the Padres could be a full 4 games clear of LA if they sweep them, which would be, that'd be incredible. It'd be absolutely incredible. So that's why it means just a little bit more mathematically. But again, they have 42, 43 games left in the season, and only 6 of them are against the Dodgers. So you still have to, even if you win all of those games, that's not going to matter if you get swept by the Orioles and the Twins. So you need to don't ever lose sight of the grand scheme of things here is you need to continue to play winning baseball all the way through the end of the season, and especially against the teams that you are dramatically and mathematically and, by the way, on the field better than. Those are the ones you really have to take care of. And also, if they lose all 6 of these games to the Dodgers, they can still win the division if they take care of everybody else. So it's fun. It's awesome. It's right in front of your face. But again, remember, grand scheme needs to also be taken into consideration here.
I've got Alice. Who is bringing the title to San Diego first, the Padres or SDFC? There might be a very simple answer to this question.
Yeah, it's the Wave.
It could be the Wave. It could be the Wave. No, World Series is in October. MLS Cup is in December. So that could be your answer.
Yeah, that's might be the only. I think if you're talking about grand scheme, like which one of them could win it this year, both could. I think the Padres are probably better positioned to win the World Series simply because, as great, as amazing as this year for SDFC has been, they're an expansion team, and you still, I think, have to figure out the playoffs are different. You got to go through those crucibles of playoff competition. So I could see them winning MLS Cup, and it'd be remarkable. And I could see the Padres winning the World Series, and it would be maybe expected.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. All right, you mentioned the Dodgers. Obviously, their struggles since July 4th. They're what, like 12 and 22 or something.
22 or something like that.
I think
Yeah.
it's 12 and 22. I looked at some of their offensive numbers and their pitching numbers from July 4th on. Offensively, fourth highest strikeout rate in Major League Baseball. They are 17th in homers, I think, for the year. They're top 2 or 3. They might have dipped a little bit, but somewhere close to the top. 23rd in batting average since July 4th. 23rd in slug. 19th in weighted runs created plus. 99, so slightly sub-average offensively. 25th in doubles. 25th in runs. Pitching wise, they have the fourth most walks allowed over 9 innings. We've seen that be an issue this week. 13th in ERA, which is not terrible, but not where you kind of expect the Dodgers to be. Relievers in general, 4.36 ERA, which is 19th in baseball. Again, amongst relievers, 4.36. Are those numbers identical? I don't think it's a typo. Walks per 9, third worst. Again, an issue that they've had this week as well. So very pedestrian numbers. In essence, one of the worst offensive teams in baseball during the stretch, and the record has bared that out. Now, listening to some of like the post-game press conferences with Mookie and the local reporters and Dave Roberts, the fact that these games were close, the fact that they took some late leads, I think they have the feeling, and you kind of touched on this earlier, of like waking up the Dodgers and all of a sudden they play well and their talent shows. I think the Padres are going to run into a team that feels like, okay, we're close. We haven't been playing good baseball. We haven't been winning games, but we put ourselves in position to win this week. Things just didn't, shake out that way. So, and we've certainly seen the Padres in that position as well. You're just kind of getting that last out, getting that last hit, whatever the case may be, has kind of been the issue. So as bad as the Padres have been, the numbers show that, the record shows that, there is kind of that twinkle of like, or a little bit of like nagging fear that like, okay, what if they decide to figure it out now?
Yeah, that's what's been so weird, is like you expect the pitching to struggle a little bit given how many guys they've had hurt. And every time I look up in a box score, I see Ben Kasparius on the mound for some reason, which is not the guy you were expecting them to be throwing out there every time. It was going to be the Tanner Scotts and Blake Trinan, who's been hurt, and Kirby Yates, who's been hurt of the world. You just don't expect that offense to struggle. I'm shocked that Mookie Betts, a future Hall of Fame talent, has struggled the way he has. And Shohei Ohtani even hasn't been the same guy. He's got 12 stolen bases this year after ripping 50 last year. It's like there's almost that part of his game has almost gone away as he tried to focus more on pitching and getting back on the mound. He hasn't been the same offensive player. You see it up and down the lineup where you're like, this isn't the same kind of deep Teoscar Hernandez had a good year, nothing like he did last year. You're wondering where all of those bats have gone. That's I think been the most head scratching part of this with the Dodgers is where is the offense and why have they lost their ability up and down the lineup to just torture you when you make even one mistake and give them one extra base runner? That's been the biggest question for me.
Yeah. And then there's injury concern from the Padres standpoint. We discussed Michael King. Max Muncy was a late scratch Wednesday because of side soreness. And if you look at his record, if you look, it sounds like an NHL injury, upper body injury report, upper body injury. If you look at their Padres or the Dodgers record with or without Max Muncy, it's stark. And so that's a guy that I would say need. And when you talk about the depth, he's one of those guys. He's not, the top 3 or top 4 if you include Will Smith. But as you go down the line, you run into Max Muncy, and obviously, he's going to give you competitive at-bats, and he's been in so many of these games and such an important part of kind of this stretch for the Dodgers. If they don't have him, then that would be a serious area of concern for LA because they have not been as good a baseball team this season when Max Muncy isn't in the lineup.
I know the numbers say this, but the eyeball test to me is like I cannot believe any argument that says that Max Muncy is the key to the Dodgers' offensive success.
Okay. then
I know.
I would
I know.
submit to you Jurickson Profar.
Yeah. I
Because
I
people would
know.
say the same thing about the Padres. Like, why is Jurickson Profar the guy that unlocks everything for the Padres? For whatever reason, that
Yeah.
was the case for a few years.
I know. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know. And now also he was swinging the bat really well since he got his glasses
Yeah.
and is actually seeing the baseball again. He was back to being a very annoying, obnoxious, all-star caliber hitting Max Muncy that we got to know and hate so much here in San Diego. And that makes a big difference. And I think this goes back to the point I touched on earlier of if you know the guy's hurt and there are third basemen available on the trade market, why don't you go do something? So I don't understand what the Dodgers were thinking at the trade deadline. They are always among the teams that make the most savvy moves when they need to. And it's almost like they got some bad, health reports on Muncy and thought he'd be back in time or didn't want to. They have never shied away from adding extra talent and figuring out where the pieces go. Eugenio Suarez was right there for the taking.
Yeah.
And they let him go to Seattle. He had a bunch of guys who were able to be had. Hell, they could have gotten Carlos Correa, moved him over and put him at third base. Any number of things that they could have done, and they just didn't do any of it. And I'm wondering right now, Darnay, if there is perhaps a 2021 Padres trade deadline mental thing happening here. Whereas the Padres thought they had Max Scherzer, then they didn't. Then they had Adam Frazier, Daniel Hudson, and some left fielder, I forget, Jake Marisnick. And that was it. And the Dodgers, the whole dugout clubhouse vibe fell apart. Everybody started bickering, and you got Toddy and Manny yelling at each other in St. Louis, and it all goes to hell. I'm wondering if maybe the Dodgers are experiencing something similar, where the team did not help them at the trade deadline. They see what's going on in San Diego. They see all the moves that they made to get that much better. And the Dodgers are like, "What? Hey, what gives? We need some reinforcements in here. We can't do it. We're beat up as it is. We can't do this without these guys." So they're now feeling that mental fatigue of, man, I don't know if we have enough. And if you start to believe you don't have enough in baseball, you are dead.
Well, and then going back to what we touched on earlier, guys that are more fresh, Lauriano and O'Hearn, Mason Miller, those guys just being rejuvenated by being with a contender and knowing what's in front of you for a couple months. You have that kind of new energy, but also guys that have like more literal energy, less games kind of behind them in the last year because they didn't go on a run to the World Series and all that. And so just kind of, more freshness, less fatigue, more energy. We've seen that from the Padres standpoint with this influx of talent and guys that are excited to be here and see what they can do. To your point, the Dodgers don't have that, and that might be they might be paying for that.
And if that's the case, I am very happy.
Muncy, by the way, 333 with an 1113 OPS in June, only played 2 games in July, 348 with a 1400 OPS, 4 homers already in August. So
yeah, he got his glasses. You can see the baseball again.
Maybe take some time, Max. Make sure you're nice and healthy. You don't need to play this weekend.
No, you don't. No, not at all. Now, the other part of that too is he's a very bad defensive third baseman. So I guess if we're going to nitpick something, that would be it.
Yeah. You mentioned kind of the depth. I think like if you look back to those first 2 series in June, there's probably a few different things you could say separate the teams. I think one of the obvious ones is what they got down the lineup versus what the Padres did or did not get down the lineup. Again, an area that the Padres kind of shore up at the trade deadline, but Padres lineup very, very thin, very top heavy back in June. Whereas the Dodgers, Pages had a huge series, 346, 1072 OPS, hit a homer. Meanwhile, his OPS in July and August, 700. So much better against the Padres in June than he has been since. Tommy Edman, you mentioned, has dealt with some injury stuff. 381, 909 OPS. He hit 156 with a 489 OPS in July, dealing with an ankle right now. And so those guys that tormented the Padres, where I think like if memory serves, Ohtani, these guys didn't do a ton. It was fairly quiet, especially for their standards at the top of the order. But it was guys like Pages, Edman down the line that did damage. Those guys aren't around or are struggling. Meanwhile, Ramon Laureano, Freddie Fermin, Jake Cronenworth, really, really good lately. There's guys that, give you a little bit of concern if you're the opposing pitcher now in the Padres lineup.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very odd to see a Dodgers lineup that looks like this. That is still, I don't want to say punchless because that's going overboard, but I will say this: the length in the Dodgers lineup that we've seen for all those years is now what we're seeing in San Diego. I mean, if you get a two-time All-Star in its prime and Jake Cronenworth batting 8th, and you got a catcher in Freddie Fermin, who should have been a starter for many years, but was sitting behind a first ballot Hall of Famer in Salvador Perez, who was hitting 355 since you acquired him, hitting 9th, you're in pretty damn good shape with your lineup. Lauriano has been awesome. O'Hearn has been getting on base at a vicious clip with walks for days. I mean, Gavin Sheets is now your power bat off the bench. They've got they're so much deeper. They are. I mean, as AJ Preller said, you don't want to have any weak links. And right now, I could not begin to tell you what the weak link on this Padres team is. It's really, there's no place you can attack them. There's no place you can hope to get them. It is up and down, no matter what you do, no matter who you put in there. This is a dangerous ball club.
Like you said, there's options. There's options off the bench now that, Shildt, you're not pinch hitting Trenton Brooks for Martin Maldonado in the 5th inning anymore.
Exactly. Now, instead, you're letting Fermin go out there and eat, and you're bringing in a 20 home run power and Gavin Sheets in the 8th inning instead.
Yeah. Speaking of lineups, you were covering the Padres at the time. Can you guess their lineup from September 25th, 2010, when they faced the Reds the last time at this stage in the season or later they were in sole control of first place?
Wow, 15 years ago. Okay. I was, I believe, at Qualcomm Stadium for a Charger game.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Okay, I can probably go around the infield. 2010, we had Chase Headley at third. You had would Everth Cabrera be at shortstop?
Miguel Tejada.
Miguel. That's right. Miguel Tejada. You had Ryan Ludwig in left field. They had that's when they made the trade. Those couple of trades. So Tejada would be at. Was Cameron Maybin in center field?
He was not in center field. Was Will Venable?
Will Venable. Excellent. I would be right. So behind the plate would have been probably Josh Bard.
Nick Hundley.
Nick Hundley would be the other guy. God, how bad was this team that they could actually try and win? So David Eckstein would have been a second base.
Yeah, correct.
Love that man. Scott Hairston.
Not on this day.
He was on the club. Jerry Hairston was as well, actually.
The first base.
Adrian Gonzalez at first base, obviously.
There you go.
Who would have been on the mound? Well, Trevor Hoffman was your closer. No, Toffee was gone at that point. That would have been Heath Bell. Heath Bell would have been your closer. Toffee was in Milwaukee.
John Garland.
Before he went and signed with the Dodgers. John Garland. Good Lord, that was an interest. That was a weird team. It was a bunch of dudes you didn't think would win a bunch of games. I know Buddy Black was the skipper. He won National League Manager of the Year that year. Khalil Green was already gone.
Trying to think. Did you mention Ludwig?
Ryan Ludwig. Yeah, he was in left.
He was in right. Oscar Salazar in left.
Oh my God, I forgot about Oscar Salazar.
I think that's everybody.
Completely forgot about Oscar Salazar.
Well, it's been 15 years, so.
Wow. Yeah, but in 15 years, we'll be able to name most of this lineup.
That's true.
Ask me in 2040, and then when I'll be 65 years old, I'll still be like Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., like Luis, or like Sander Bogart. Like, these are guys. These are dudes. We get dudes on this team. Back then, it was like a bunch of overachievers. And I will go to my grave telling you that little David Eckstein was the key. I would take that man on my team any day of the week and twice on Sunday. And he's married to a Jedi. I mean, come on.
Who's he married to?
Ashley Eckstein, the voice of Ahsoka Tano on Clone Wars.
You say this like I should just know this.
You should just know this, nerd. God.
We have actually discussed watching the Clone Wars. We haven't done that yet.
The movie they did was actually all right. The series is pretty. Dave Filoni does a really nice job with that series.
That's what I've heard. Risk of getting you too excited. We've been watching the originals, so we haven't gotten to Return of the Jedi yet. Most of these pods were overachievers, according to Mr. Sunshine. Oh, and also
agreed, Sunshine. Agreed.
That team
for Adrian.
That team did not make the postseason. Making the postseason tends to make teams a little bit more memorable, a little more time with them, more moments, and so that could singe the memory of the 2025 lineup a little bit more than the 2010 group.
Yes, very nice. That'd be good, wouldn't it? That would be good.
Give me some players. I was thinking like a position player, a pitcher. Give me like a pitcher you feel like who's going to rake, who's going to shove. Let's put it that way. Give me some guys for this weekend. I got two in mind.
That Dylan Cease, Blake Snell line.
Blake Snell.
Yeah, that's Freudian. My bad. That stinks. That I think Dylan is going to come out, and he still remembers the playoffs last year. Those 2 starts in the NLDS where he just was not good. I think with the way he's throwing now, he is going to have one of those like 13, 14 strikeout kind of performances. And then Snell is going to do the same kind of thing. And that was going to be he's scoreless in the 8th inning, and then the bullpens will take over, and the Padres will obviously with their bullpen will be able to easily win that game. Well, not easily, but they will certainly have the edge down the stretch. So I think that both of those guys are going to be fantastic. Manny always has something up his sleeve against the Dodgers. So I think Machado is going to have a really nice series, which again, you can say Manny Machado is going to have a nice series against pretty much anybody he plays. Yeah, especially if he's facing Kershaw. If for some reason he always has some really nice at-bats against Kershaw. Tatis, same thing. But if I'm going to go a little bit off the board here, the pitchers will do what the pitchers do. If there's anybody who's going to give you like this could be the guy who changes the series from an offensive standpoint, let's go with Lauriano, because he's been swinging the bat really, really well. He's hot. He gives you that length in the lineup. And remember, the Dodgers haven't seen a whole lot of him over the years, so he could be one of those guys who just kind of comes in and is a bit of a surprise factor. So again, if anybody finishes this series with like 5 hits and 3 of them for extra bases, that probably would be your guy. And also, I have been having so much fun watching him throw the ball from left field. He has got a freaking howitzer attached to his body. So I think at some point, somebody's going to forget that and test him, and he's going to hose some dude on the base paths with some ridiculous throw. And we're all going to go, oh, that's amazing. And then nobody will run on him again until the end of time. So I think he's due for a great defensive highlight, if anything else.
No doubt. I also want to see if things get testy. I want to see Ramon Laureano in that setting, because he seems like the type of guy you don't necessarily want to mess with.
He's doesn't just do enough crazy.
Yeah, he's got an edge to him. He's, soft-spoken guy. He's been awesome. But I want to see somebody test him or see what happens if he comes to somebody's defense. We remember what happened in June. Things got, temperature turned up a little bit. We've seen it obviously happen with Jerks and Profar in the past. Ramon's got a little bit of I think like a tail kicker in him that, it's still early. I could see that coming out at some point. And I find that part of him intriguing. You took my pitcher. Dylan Cease is a guy. He's been throwing it well since the trade deadline, and a game like this. And one of his best starts this season was at Petco Park against the Dodgers. So, he's got that experience behind him. 619 Cam, I would love to see Tatis carry the team over the weekend. Likewise.
Certainly capable, yes.
Yes. He's probably the first person that comes to mind, but then, and yeah, that would be awesome to see. But offensively, since you picked Cease, I'm going to go with Mason Miller. And I was looking, Mason Miller has never faced the Dodgers.
Really? None of those interleague series. No, because they get the A's every year.
No, he's faced the Diamondbacks. He has faced the Padres. Has he faced the Giants? He has faced the Rockies. He has faced the Giants. He has not faced the Dodgers.
I would not have thought that.
So, when there is the opportunity to, you could see him twice over the course of this weekend, close game, it's Otani Freeman bets, they go to Mason Miller pumping 103 with that nasty slider. That's, you talk about Lauriano potentially changing kind of the chemistry of this series. Mason Miller could do the same thing. So that's, since you picked Cease, I'll go with Mason Miller. You took Lauriano with a tip of the cap to Manny and a nod to Tatis as well. I was thinking Jackson Merrill. Jackson Merrill's had a big month, had a 3-hit game, he's homered, and he's already had some big moments against the Dodgers. He loves these games. Remember, the first kind of big moment for Jackson Merrill was at Dodger Stadium, April of last season, the go-ahead hit in the 11th inning or whatever it was. And then, had that homer at Petco Park against the Dodgers as well. Like, he's done it. He's not scared of anything. He's not going to be shy when it comes to a series like this. And he's just really fun to watch. And like Lauriano, gives you the defensive element as well. So you could see Merrill hitting a homer and robbing somebody of a homer as well. So I'll take Mason Miller and Jackson Merrill. You got Dylan Cease and Ramon Lauriano. And I think these are all very good picks.
Yeah, I think we could win a few games with those guys. And it's, man. Oh, by the way, the other thing I noticed about Mason Miller, in his last outing, he had 3 strikeouts, 1 on the fastball, 1 on the slider, and 1 on the changeup. So the change, Ruben Niebel's like the changeup master. So I think he's already been working with Miller a little bit on getting that pitch maybe up to par with the other 2. And if that dude develops a 3rd plus offering, everybody can just go sit down. Like, it doesn't matter which end you hold the bat with. You're dead. You're not going to be able to hit this guy. And that's why they're probably going to stretch him out into a starter next year. But the other thing about Miller, you don't really notice, because he's such a mild-mannered guy in the clubhouse, man. You get that dude on the mound and look at the fire that he shows when he finishes an inning with a strikeout. Like, this dude gets he's another guy, kind of like Lauriano, who you're like, okay, when the competitive juices start flowing, like, this dude will shove something up your you-know-what and not think twice about it. So I like the mentality of that kid too.
Yeah. They brought in some, O'Hearn as well. Like, we talked about it last week, like the clubhouse fits. Like, they brought in the types of guys you want in the clubhouse for a run like this and for a series like this. Mr. Sunshine might have missed the opening few minutes. Will Roberts try something shady to kickstart the Dodgers? I could see it, Derek.
Yeah, but again, what does he have left? What's he going to do?
I know, but I know who among us expected him to. Manny threw the ball towards the dugout, to manufacture that, to turn that into something. So I feel like he's got weird stuff up his sleeve that you wouldn't necessarily expect. But I hope you're right.
Remember, the other part of this too is if they do try and get under the Padres' skin or get in their heads by, they're throwing up and into Tatis again. It's happening. He's gonna get hit. He's gonna get hit up and in. He's gonna get knocked off the plate, and Shildt is gonna get fired up and run out there because of who it is that's coming after him and who it is that's throwing the ball up and around. But the Padres didn't have Mason Miller when the Dodgers were pulling that crap. So if they remember, Robert Suarez then turned around and hit Shohei Ohtani, which he says was unintentional, and which I totally believe him when he says that. And if they want to play around and mess with that kind of game, then here's 103 in the middle of your back. So you can go over to your skipper and say, knock it off. I'm sick of wearing this. This hurts. Or I remember Jake Cronenworth got hit in the ribs and had one broken earlier this year. So the bad stuff can happen if they want to start playing that game. Yeah. So it's the Dodgers' best bet right now is to put all that, all the sideshow antics aside, come out and just play the best brand of baseball that they can play and try to beat the Padres straight up. Because if they feel like they have to resort to that kind of stuff, then they're in bigger trouble than we even realized.
Yeah. It's a great point. I hope we saw enough of that in June. I don't necessarily need any of that this series.
Oh, we need some of it because it's fun. We need some, as long as no one gets hurt. But we need somebody doing something stupid, or like Will Smith saying something lame to somebody when he comes up because Will Smith's just a red ass in the first place. It's like somebody chirping about something, and then some maybe a little bit longer of a home run trot to try and prove a point. So we need some stuff like that.
Yes, I'm 100% on board for that. I just don't necessarily need the well, they threw at him, so are they going to respond? Now what happens? Warnings are issued. That, I don't, that aspect of it, but stuff we've seen with Jerks and Profar in the past, like I'm here for all of that. I'm here for the chatter, like you said, pimping a home run, little extra on the bat flip, that sort of thing. What's his face? Jack Flaherty, Manny Machado, dust up during the postseason last year. Sign me up for that. But the guys wearing it and retaliation and all that, like, I wouldn't mind if we left that to the June series, but that's just me.
Warnings will be issued before first pitch.
As there should be.
I would not be surprised one bit if the umpire crew, whoever it ends up being, walks out and just, when they bring the managers out to exchange a scorecard, to just say, listen, you're warned, tell your pitchers now. Everybody's warned. Let's go. Let's make this clean. Because I guarantee you, man, Darnay, a lot of eyes are going to be on this series this weekend. I mean, not just the entire baseball world, a lot of sports fans' eyes are going to be on this series this weekend. So if they drag it down into the muck of just trying to make it like a brouhaha of fists being thrown everywhere, and there's no actual baseball focus, it's not going to be a good look.
No Gratterall, so that might help to that end. Said very well, Derek, and a great note to end on. Appreciate everybody in the chat and enjoying this with us. It's been a lot of fun, and we look forward to catching up next week to discuss this series, hopefully another sweep of the Giants, and then another series against the Dodgers. Thanks, everybody. Catch you next time.